and formally now as an assistant director. So do I turn this mic on? I just realized it's off. Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear me. We're going to take this opportunity to introduce staff and just open it up for comments and questions from licensees and stakeholders who are joining us today. We'll go until about 9:15, and then we'll go ahead and take a break and before we go into our commission meeting. So the chat, I believe, is open, and feel free to go ahead and put anything in there that you would like for us to address. And also feel free to raise your hand, and we'll just have this as an interactive process. We do have a few stakeholders here in the room as well. So with that, though, I'm just really going to focus on staff and introduce our new Deputy Director, Chris Wilson, and ask him to come up and just share a little bit about himself.
Good morning. So new Deputy Director, Chris Wilson, just moved in mid-June from Anchorage, Alaska area. I am on a terminal leave for setting up for retirement for a career in the Air Force and the National Guard, where I was the senior military advisor to the commissioner and adjutant general for Alaska, all the military forces assigned there, Army and Air and State Defense Force. 26-year Air Force and Guard career, and a little bit of background, military, police, law enforcement activity. And then prior to the military, I was affiliated with Tribal Casino up in Minnesota, and then down to Biloxi, Mississippi, and then over to Marksville, Louisiana. So live up in East Highlands area by Renton with my wife, Jamie, and our 2-year-old Great Dane, Oscar, and just happy to be here. Thanks for bringing me on board, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're thrilled to have you. And so Chris will be overseeing the IT department, the PIO, legal and records unit, and the legislative policy and training unit. And so, yes, we are thrilled to have Chris here. He brings a great deal of strategic leadership experience. And I think did you also mention you have some tribal gaming experience as well as corporate gaming experience too? So just a real great variety of experience and leadership, and just thrilled to have him here. Oh, also, and the assistant director will report to Chris as well. And speaking of the assistant director, we have Gary Drumheller is the assistant director, beginning both positions started. You can go ahead and work your way up. Both Chris and Gary took their official roles on September 6th. And Gary's been here a number of years and served in the interim position for the last 17 months. And will oversee, we're doing a little bit of restructure as well. And so that went into effect on September 6th. And with that, Gary will oversee the licensing, regulation, criminal enforcement, tribal gaming, and the electronic gaming lab. So, Gary, welcome.
Thank you. As you said, I'm Gary Drumheller. I've been with the commission. I think this is my starting 33rd year. I was a police officer before I came to the commission for almost 4 years. Glad to be here. I was the interim assistant director last 1.5 years, and I was the criminal enforcement agent in charge prior to that for 8 years. So happy to be here. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to come up and talk to me or call me, whatever means of communication you use. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And so Gary will also continue to be the final reviewer and approver of gambling equipment in the assistant director role as well. And so that's something that he's already started doing in the last 17 months because that is a very big role. And again, still working with the gambling equipment team to go ahead and do that commercial and nonprofit equipment review. And then we have Julie Lease, our tribal liaison. And Julie will continue to report to me, but very much works with all areas of the agency as our tribal liaison, and so very important role. Yep, there you are. Keep going. Keep going.
Took me a bit to get on the camera. Yeah, so I've been with the Gambling Commission since November of 1989. Don't bother doing the math. It's about 33 years. And I was part of the original tribal gaming unit when it started in 92 with the first compacted casino. And then I just moved from supervisor to manager to agent in charge. And now I'm full-time travel liaison. So, and yeah, it's been a learning experience. I continue to learn, and I'm always looking for input on how to do my job better. And yeah, that's me. I don't know if anybody has questions. No, okay, I'm watching.
Yes, oh, good, thank you, yes. So, and then we have, so not everyone is joining us in the room today. So love the virtual component. And so then we have joining us today is Jim Nix. He's the agent in charge of the regulatory unit. And so he will be as part of as the operational unit, he will be reporting to Gary. Welcome, Jim. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, as Tina said, my name is Jim Nix. I came to the Gambling Commission almost 5 years ago. I'm approaching my 5th year here in a few months. And I came here from a 32-year law enforcement career, so I bring that experience to the agency. The regulation unit for the state is comprised of about 26 staff members when fully staffed, and the agents are spread out throughout the state, and we work primarily with nonprofit organizations and our licensees, such as house bank card rooms, for example. Some of the things that we're working on right now, we're just at the point of working with the Seahawks and launching their electronic raffle program. I believe it's going to be next Monday is the goal anyway. And so we're real excited about that. And the Kraken's hockey team is shortly after that. So that's been a lot of work the last couple of years by our staff. So very appreciative of the great work that's been done there. Some of the things we're working on right now is the ATOM, which is Access on Demand Money, which is using debit cards at the playing table. So we're starting to work at the rule development on that. iDrop kiosk system, which is a ticket in, ticket out system at the table, where you can buy chips at the table using a voucher system and carry that voucher throughout the gaming facility and exchange chips at the tables. And we're also looking at the wagering increase petition that we received. On September 28th, we have a stakeholder meeting scheduled for all 3 of those topics, and we'll be receiving input from all of you at that meeting. So we're real excited about all of that work as well. And I think that's it, unless there's any questions.
Very good. Well, thank you, Jim. And, you know, as Jim indicated, there's 26 staff in the regulatory unit. There's far more nonprofit commercial operators, as well as thousands of cardroom employees and nonprofit licensees. And so his, you know, at the Gambling Commission, he relies heavily on education. We always start with education as much as we can, and then really strive then for voluntary compliance before first and foremost. So his staff would be more than welcome to come out and give any sort of training or educational opportunities if licensees are so willing and have any questions. So and then the ATOM and the iDrop, the first 2 topics that he mentioned, those are also in relation to rules petitions that were filed for rulemaking earlier this year. So, so at the stakeholder meeting, it will be to address those 3 rules, rulemaking actions, wager increases, the ATOM and the iDrop. Is that correct, Jim?
That's correct. Yeah, we'll be covering those 3 topics at the stakeholder meeting here in just a few weeks. So it kind of gets the ball rolling on those petitions.
And rulemaking is a long process, and we are without a rules coordinator right now. So we're really doing the best we can to fill positions but yet still keep things moving. And so rules process, the next step is to get that feedback from stakeholders. We have the equipment because the Atom and the iDrop are both pieces of equipment. And so by rule, we have to have that equipment come in for evaluation, which is separate than the review and approval process, but the evaluation so that we can make sure that as we're going through the rulemaking process, that we have outlined and truly understand how the equipment works, make sure it's going to, our rulemaking is going to make sure that it has parameters around for safety and security measures, protection of the public, from any defrauding, and really making sure that it falls within the parameters of the RCW as well. Because when we roll rules out, we want to make sure that we have all of the operational parameters and security measures set out in those rules first and foremost, so we don't have to, chase behind something, because that's not a good feeling. So look forward to feedback and information that you can provide, and we'll have that information posted on the stakeholder meeting on our website. We'll make sure to have that out there as well. Thank you, Jim. And Dan Wagonist, Tribal Gaming Unit. Good morning,
Good morning,
Dan.
everybody. Good morning. Dan Wagonist, agent in charge with the Tribal Gaming Unit. I've been with the agency for a little over 23 years now. I spent my first 6 months with the agency in what was then field, now reg, transferred over to TGU, and have been in the Tribal Gaming Unit since. It would have been about October of 1999. So been here through the growth of tribal gaming. Started as an agent, and then I was a supervisor in what we call our North District for about 13 years or so, 14, maybe longer than that, 18 years. It was a while, and promoted to agent in charge last year. We've got 3 districts. We divide the state into about 3 districts. We've got 15 staff that work with our tribal partners with the regulation of the tribal facilities around the state. Obviously, I think everybody's aware the big thing for the last couple of years has been the rollout of sports wagering. We had 2 more tribes that launched within the last couple of weeks, so we're up to 10 tribes that are offering sports wagering now, retail books. And we've got 3 or maybe 4 that are hoping to go live here throughout the NFL season. So that's been the bulk of the work for tribal gaming for the last year or so.
Very good, thank you. And yes, there's also a few openings available in tribal gaming, I believe, too. So with the Tribal Gaming Unit, but staff has done a great job, and very appreciative of the work that Tribal Gaming has done in the last few years to get the sports wagering up and operating, and continuing to work with the tribes as the primary regulators for the sports wagering operations. Good. Thank you so much, and we appreciate all the work with our tribal partners that you do. So then we have Jennifer Lamont with licensing. Jennifer's been with the agency for a long time. She's our licensing go-to person. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer Lamont. I'm the agent in charge of our licensing unit. I've been with the agency for about 22 years. I started in our regulation unit for the first 7, and then was promoted to supervisor position in our financial investigations unit, and eventually agent in charge of our licensing unit. We have great staff. Currently, we have about 15. We're trying to hire 1 more licensing specialist currently. We've had a lot of changes over the pandemic time frame. We have always been an office-based unit, only working 8 to 5, and 3 years ago now, we transferred very quickly to working from home and found out we could do the majority of our work from home. So we are now back in the office at least 2 days a week. We are not open to the public yet, but we found that we can do quite a bit from home as well as from the office. So we are working on a telephone modernization system right now. We have had to switch from, answering office counter visitors or phone calls directly. We've transitioned. We're doing a little bit better at that. We'll do even better once we get a more modern phone system. But staff has done a great job over the last couple of years with our new gambling activities authorized, both electronic raffles as well as sports wagering. It's been a heavy lift. We've had a lot of new licensees trying to either qualify as a nonprofit or as a sports wagering vendor, and been working with our tribal partners, trying to meet timelines and expectations. So it's been great work, and staff has done a great job.
Yes, they definitely have, and encountered some openings in your department. I think you hired recently, so I think hopefully that will help. But yet there's patience. Just because we fill positions, there's still a lot of training that's involved. Yes, your staff has done a great job. You have 4 agents now, so that will be helpful. Yes, and continuing to bring on licensing specialists, and a lot of new license activity this year, and shifts too. So with the pandemic, a lot of the questions that we have seen in some of the early complaints and inquiries were, just the pushes to the things that were just starting to go online that weren't legal, right? So pushes for activities, gambling activities, illegal gambling activities through Facebook and other sorts of online platforms. And so I think that has slowed down a little bit. But so even though licensing, you think, just focuses on licensing, both the regulatory unit and licensing get a lot of questions about, can we do this? How do we do this? And if we can do it, is there a license needed? So lots of inquiries over and above just processing applications. And the regulatory unit handles a lot of those inquiries as well. So thank you, Jennifer. And Jennifer is also has a great deal of experience in terms of evaluating gambling equipment as well for charitable nonprofits and commercial entities. And then we have
NAGRA.
Oh, yes. Did you come up and share? That's definitely important. How did you forget, Madam President? Yes.
That's right. Exactly.
Sorry. Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
So currently I am the president of the board of directors of NAGRA, which is the North American Gaming Regulators Association. It's a nonprofit organization that brings regulators from around the nation together to exchange ideas and best practices. And we'll put a plug in because our next conference in June of 2022 is going to be at Boise, Idaho.
2023.
2023, thank you. No?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
June's already gone.
Sorry. Threw me off my game. So June of 2023, we'll be in Boise, Idaho. We have great regulators from across the nation, both state, tribal, and it's just a great organization to be a part of. We do interest calls, and we have excellence in gaming awards that we issue. So if you have any questions about that, please contact me because it is a great organization.
Yes, and you're also doing, are you still doing those periodic phone calls, those group conversations?
Yep.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about that?
So we just had interest calls this week, actually, that I couldn't be part of, but we do it with different interest groups, Indian gaming, casino and electronic gaming, investigators, nonprofit charitable gambling. So they are interest calls, and they're for members of NAGRA. And the membership is by organization. So if, for example, Washington State Gambling is a member, but we can have as many individuals under that membership as want to be signed up for it. We have great, again, it's good discussion just to bring out what's going on. I know that before electronic raffles were actually authorized in Washington, that was a source of great information for us because we were able to connect with other regulators where electronic raffles were actually authorized in their states and start to get that information and understanding of what was going on, best practices, concerns, and investigations. So highly recommend that organization. It's great. It's a great forum for exchange of ideas and understanding of what's going on across the nation.
Well, and it benefits us as an agency as well because it allows us the networking capabilities. And so, hey, you know, what do you do? We can put something out there to all the state regulators of, hey, what are you doing with this? What are your rules about this, et cetera? And we already have that network then to reach out to. And it's a really good forum for that. And it makes it, you know, it helps us say, okay, if you could do this all over again, you know, what worked and what didn't work, right? And we don't want to just take and use someone else's rules without having that conversation. So yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Julie, for reminding Jennifer.
I'm just so proud.
And then we have with us Jamie Dowdy, the interim administrator of the electronic gaming lab. I believe she is with us. Actually, I just remembered she may.
Give me 1 second.
I think she may be escorting some work in the lab. Jamie, are you with us? Okay. She must, yes, I think she may have, she may be with, there's some activity going on. And so actually, I'll just explain what happened. We had a flood in our building. And so it's a month ago now, but we're still in the process of having the building fixed. So that was a shocker. And so, yes, staff did a wonderful job. We're not fully in the office yet, but those that were quickly took action and prevented a lot of loss of records and equipment. And but yes, it was still a mess. And so very thankful for staff's quick action. And some people actually came in on that Friday. So thankful for that. So Jamie, sorry, I didn't know she wasn't going to be here, but we are hiring and filling that position. I believe interviews are on September 19th. And so.
And 26th.
Here, I am here.
Oh,
there she is.
I'm sorry. We have people working in the lab right now. I had to go help them.
Yes, I was buying some time and told them all about the flood. So
Okay.
without showing them the pictures. So yes, go ahead. And it was an HVAC pipe. They were working on the HVAC system, the air conditioning, and pipe burst. And
Oh, gosh.
yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Gravity and water.
Yes, and then the water did you know water runs down?
It's like, oh, gravity, yeah.
It would have been better if it ran up, but yes, Jamie, tell us about what's going on in the lab, please, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jamie Dowdy. I'm the interim lab administrator. I've been with the agency for 22 years now. We currently there are 3 of us, and we test the tribal lottery system components, and we also test gambling equipment that goes into the house bank card rooms as well. We test to Appendix X2 to ensure that there's compliance with that. We do inspections in the field currently with the TGU folks, and we train them on what to look for when they're reviewing that equipment in the field. We also do. Sorry, Tina, I was not prepared. I thought Cy was actually covering us, so it kind of caught me off guard here.
It's all good.
But we're looking to fill the position I'm currently in. We just started, like Tina talked about, we got involved in the electronic raffle systems. helped with the rule writing, and I just went out on the first 2 reviews this last week with some of our field agents. Aside from that, we're just very busy with the tribal lottery system, getting the systems back up and running from our man-made disasters. But so far, everything's going really well. We have a unit of employees that have been here 10 plus years, really enjoy our jobs, and technology is changing very, very much. So we are looking at working with the agency on rules related to that, and just assisting them in any way possible. I think hopefully that's enough.
Yes, well, we also had another, it was a little, I don't know, if it wasn't the fire department didn't get called a few weeks after the flood, but I don't think, but there was a little electrical situation, but not that didn't impact us. So we had to have the power shut off a couple times so they could fix the burnt switches and wiring and whatnot. So we still have a lease though. So August has been a bit of a building challenge. So yes, at least we knew the power was going to be shut off. So yeah, she had to shut the lab down completely for the last couple times. So yes, if you don't have other challenges, just like you all, we have building challenges as well. So anyway, do we need questions, thoughts, open to feedback? What's going on out there? Yes, sir.
They were talking about debit card. We would have to have some kind of a machine for them to run that, or we would have to have a machine to do that.
So the rule petition is requesting to have the commission authorize debit cards at, I believe, the card tables. So right now you can have ATM machines,
Right.
we don't regulate that.
Right.
Any licensee can have a ATM, but this would be at card tables. So
That card table was good.
Yeah. So no.
We
And
won't
of
allow
course,
checks and cash.
right. And of course, we would never impose something. This would be if you chose to do it.
Right.
Right. So,
Thank you.
yes. Good question, though. I appreciate it. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Yes.
I took
love it.
over 2 years. They handed me this stuff, and I have made a sheet to try and balance the books each night so we know how much money. Can I get an audit of that to see if I'm doing it right and if there's something I could do better, and who would I see for that?
That is a great question, and Gary will connect with you because we would love to, that's exactly what we were talking about in terms of voluntary compliance, education, providing support and assistance. That is our first and foremost goal, is to work with you on any questions you have to make sure it's compliant. So great question, sir. And in case people visiting via Teams didn't hear, a gentleman in the audience is with a nonprofit licensee, asked if we would be willing to do an audit or work with him to make sure the record keeping was in order. So yes, I'd be thrilled to do that. Thank you. So Gary will connect with you. We have another person, if there's no other questions right at this time, impromptu, our interim legislative liaison, and while he's working his way up here, I will also say that there are, 2 other key leadership positions that we're looking to fill, and Chris is now on board, and it's on Chris's agenda as yesterday, day 2, I said, here you go. So, but I have already started the process, and that is to fill the legal manager position and the legislative and policy position, which will also have rules coordinator responsibilities. So those should be posted with this month.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm sure HR is guiding him. So, but yes, we do need to fill those positions. And so, but just know that those openings are coming. So Tommy, thank you for volunteering to
Yes,
chat a minute.
volunteering or volunteering, something happened. So my name is Tommy Oakes. Most of you, I've been at a couple of commission meetings talking. My technical term, I guess, is I am the professional standards and training supervisor for the Gambling Commission. Basically, I train all law enforcement officers in all of the various things that they do, such as use of force, firearms, batons, less lethals, all the things that we carry as agents. Also case law, and I also train all new agents coming on. So when you hear all the hiring and everything that's going on, that means my shop's very busy because we're training everybody to get them up and running. Obviously, with staff shortages, I have stepped into the interim legislative liaison role, and that's kind of what I'm doing today. And it's kind of my past. I was a cop in California for about almost 22 years, and I did all the stuff there that you do in law enforcement. And I came up here because my family wanted to get away from hot California and come up to Washington. It's very beautiful up here, and so it's kind of what I've got.
You oversee it.
Oh yeah, I oversee policy accreditation, and we were just reaccredited, as most of you know, this year. That was a lot of work, during session too, and so yeah, it's been a very crazy ride, fun ride. But I will say it's been kind of nice. My previous career kind of prepared me for all the craziness that's been happening in the last few years here, so that's good.
Yes, and so we do have the agency request legislation that will be before the commissioners today, and for final vote to see if that is something that they would like to move forward to the governor's office for request. And then if there is, we historically, as I think was mentioned 2 months ago, with the, or maybe it was last month, time flies, but if anybody has any legislation that is relating to gambling, we would be happy to take a look at it and just weigh in so that there's no surprises for either one of us prior to or during session. And we've already started to do that, and we would be happy to do that. Does not mean that we will support or give any sort of agent. Staff does not do that. That would have to definitely come before the commission, but at least we would be able to communicate and have that conversation and that dialogue about what it is that you're wanting to move forward. And so we've done that before with manufacturers and nonprofits and all sorts of interest groups. And so something we've always done, and would be happy to just have a glance at that and have a communication. So Tommy, until Tommy would be your point of contact until we have somebody in that position permanently. So do you find value in this? We used to do it a long time ago in a different format, but just wanted to re-engage, and I would appreciate hearing questions. And it's a little different because you have an opportunity to attend virtually, so please don't hesitate to use the chat and reach out to staff. It was perfect timing that we had this because we were able to introduce the positions, welcoming Chris and Gary to these positions. And I'm thrilled that we're starting to, be on the upswing of hopefully no one's submitting their resignation or retirement, but in the upswing feels like bringing staff on. And I know you guys everyone is experiencing the same challenges for recruiting and retention that we are, but we do appreciate your patience in advancing some of the initiatives along. So we have strategic planning coming up next month, and so the commissioners they're going to take the October 7th commission meeting date to focus on developing the strategic plan goals and initiatives for the 2023 and 2028 strategic plan. So that is, I would invite you all to participate in the meetings that we have scheduled tomorrow for licensees. That meeting is at 11. And if you don't have the link, please use the Ask Us at wsgc.wa.gov. And what that will be is, and then at the tribal partners, that meeting is from 9 to 10. And again, that's virtual. Both of those are virtual meetings, and looking for input and your thoughts on what are some of the opportunities and threats that the commission would potentially be facing and taking into consideration that would impact, achieving goals moving forward. So this would be the external assessment. We're doing the internal assessment now with staff, and we'll bring all of that with more to the commission so that they can have that information, along with there'll be a budget presentation on October 6th. So as they develop those goals, they can keep all of that information in mind. So they would be achievable and things that we can actually move forward with actionable items. So really encourage everyone to participate. If you're not able to participate, please send us any thoughts that you have through the Ask Us at wsgc.wa.gov. I think that's a good forum for communication, getting feedback to us. Okay. Well, it's a little early. Unless there's any other questions, maybe we'll do this once a quarter, or just to kind of get things off the ground and get things moving. But thank you everyone for joining us in the audience. For those that are joining us virtually, we do have six people here, so that's wonderful. I thought maybe we just have one or two, so we improved by 300%. So, and thank you to staff for coming and sharing today as well. So we'll start the public meeting at 9:15, and thank you. 9:30. Excuse me, 9:30. We will start at 9:30, and it is a pretty short agenda today. So thank you.
So now